That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to Masters of the Nerdiverse presents Random Select, where we choose 8 random films and pit them against each other until one is victorious. I am the injectable hallucinogen known as Mike G, and I'm happy to bring back to the show Winter Trash Monk the Third.
Holla!
And I'm happy to bring back as well the manimal, the Carnosaur himself, Brian.
Would you really want people to inject themselves with you?
Depends on the person.
If I got money.
Yeah, depends on the person.
Touche.
Yeah,
okay,
man.
go on, man. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking DNA cloning and like, dude.
I could be that Bella Delphine.
Fine.
I could be Bella Delphine 2.0. Come on.
Can you imagine if you could just
spit on your face? All right.
If you could take the spiritual essence of like Kanye West and inject it into your neck, and now you're Kanye for like an hour and a half?
Oh God, no. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but future, you still have your own ideas.
Yeah, no,
that sounds
Obama
terrible.
Hates KFC.
No, you just black out and you have to deal with the consequences of your Kanye actions.
Absolutely not.
Speaking of horror shows, it's the time for the Halloweens. This is the age of Samhain, where the natural and the supernatural worlds start to blend together. So in honor of that, we're doing a random select horror movie edition. Where
It's Halloween. Be happy.
It's Halloween. Be haunted.
It's Halloween. Be diabetic.
Wow.
Oh, all right.
Wow. I know who's giving out celery on Halloween night.
All right.
Not Winter, unless it's deep fried and have ants on a log.
Oh, geez, I can't with any of it. We're pitting 8 horror films against each other, ranging from age, from genre, and we've come to find that a lot of these movies, even though they're very different, there's a lot in common. So, for this episode, we will actually be reviewing a horror movie classic, 1954's Them. And Brian, what's the other movie we're reviewing?
1985's Re-Animator.
Ooh.
Odd new medical student arrives on campus. A dedicated local and his girlfriend become involved in bizarre experiments centering around the reanimation of dead tissue.
In Them is the earliest atomic test in New Mexico caused common ants to mutate into giant man-eating monsters that threaten civilization. Ooh. Brian, what's your experience with Them?
Had only heard of it in passing, those monster horror or monster movie Godzilla type conversations that you find yourself in, and you're like, man, I don't know what I'm talking about. These people really do.
Yeah, man. How about you, Winter? What's your experience with the movie Them?
So I remember, with Them, it's definitely a golden. Is it a golden or silver era?
I would say Silver Age, probably.
Yeah, it's another one of those things that like one of those movies people have got to watch. Like I would put it with Frankenstein, Mummy.
Yep.
It's in that list of films that it should be in your wish list, but you don't necessarily have to go for it immediately. Like there's a bunch of other movies that you should watch before Them.
Absolutely. I feel very the same way. Honestly, this is my first time watching it ever. Yeah. Just like one of the movies we did before, this film was just not on the family radar. And a lot of the horror movies that stick with me are the ones that my parents were watching, the horror movies that my mom and dad were watching. But Them is definitely a silver screen classic where it's, like you said, it stands toe-to-toe with Frankenstein, with Dracula, and just to be more of its contemporaries. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Or science fiction horror or science?
I mean, I would say it's science fiction. Yeah, sci-fi horror.
It's sci-fi horror because there's legit scenes of tense horror, and there's scenes that if we're done now with graphics would be scary.
Right.
There's the scene where they're going into the tunnels for the first time. You start seeing not just one but two ants. And you start, and oh no, it's three ants. And this movie, I don't know, watching it, I hate to say it, and it's a very stupid nitpick, but the sound of the ants started to really get to me towards the end of the film. Like that high-pitched chirp.
High-pitched.
Oh, yeah.
After a while, it started giving me a headache. It legit started giving me, I had to turn it off and like go outside and like listen to like ambient noise. And go back in the house and then finish it. So, other than that, I just think the film itself was more of almost a political drama than anything else in a weird way. Kind of like how U.S. would actually handle this if it really happened, kind of situation. Right. So it made it kind of dry. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on this movie, Brian?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I got into the story and I was terrified of some friggin' ants, man. I'm like, that's a problem if that actually ever were to happen.
This is a huge problem.
It's a problem. So I thought that it was a well put together little horror film. It had my entire attention. So
cool. What about you, Winter? What are your feelings about this movie?
Yeah, again, some of the comments I made for Thing from Another World kind of resonate with them. I can't remember which one came out for. I think Thing from Another World probably came out first.
I think so too.
Yeah, for my entire life, I thought Charlton Heston was in this movie, but I believe he's in a different movie with ants or some type of creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. But,
I can't think of it either.
Well, fine then.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Can't do it. And I'm just gonna repeat what I said. Like it's something that I think horror fans need to watch to get their credentials, sort of thing. Like, okay, here's your horror, or like here's your old school movie card that you've seen them.
Yeah,
like it's up there. Like I don't want to put them in the same category, but it is like necessary to watch Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
certain movies.
So I think them would fit in that category.
Absolutely, and I think there's certain scenes in them that were just cool, like them finding the first ant, and having it throw the mandible of the guy's skeleton out of its mouth, and like, oh geez, it picked that guy clean. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
one thing I didn't like is kind of low key misogyny in the film, where it's like, the female scientists, they weren't trying to let her do anything in this movie.
Again, another interesting like cultural change from what we normally see. So again, I think that's how come I was watching it. It's not specifically for that, but it's just dealing with themes that we
don't have to deal with anymore,
or
right.
we don't really put on screen.
Yeah. For the Earth to see and to glamorize, but on the same caveat, I do like its approach to science. This is a scientific film, and they try to use scientific methods to solve this problem.
There's no way they got all those ants.
There's no way they killed all those ants. At least one princess got out. The Earth is screwed, dude.
There's no way.
And that's one thing I didn't like about the movie. It's like how it wrapped up in this neat little package, because not having seen it, no one's talking about them. So I was like, how is this going to end? Is it just going to be apocalyptic? Are we just have to deal with ants now? Is that the situation? Like, how is this going to end? Like, what is going to... And then it ends and it's like, well, this is the first time, but it may not be the last. The horrors of nuclear power. And we got them this time.
Another interesting theme. Yeah. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I mean, this be 17 in the 50s.
This is the same terror that birthed Marvel Comics. The atomic scare is why we have the Fantastic Four. It's why we have the Hulk. Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. This is the same time frame where it was very real that one day you'll wake up and someone will just drop an atomic nuke on the U.S. shore and you would just be vaporized. You wouldn't even feel it. And Americans were waking up every single day with that terror. So that had to inspire some kind of venting mechanism. And it happened to be movies like this. You know what I mean? Which is very fascinating and interesting to look back on and to kind of think like with our social and economic issues, what kind of horror films would be breeded from this kind of anxiety, you know?
We shall see.
We shall see. So, Winter, what is your experience with Re-Animator?
Oh, but I just wanted to clarify on a few years for them. The Thing from Another World was 1951. Them was 1954. And the movie that I was thinking of with Charlton Heston is called The Naked Jungle, which came out in 1954.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube. I need to watch that.
Yes, I remember getting a magazine filled with classic movies where my grandma would get the magazine, and then I would always find that movie there.
Apparently, there's nudity in it.
Yeah, that's why I know about it.
Wow.
I'm a young kid.
Hey, I ain't mad at you, bro.
Yeah.
So, Re-Animator winner, what's your thoughts?
Okay, Re-Animator. I've had an interesting experience with this. I watched it on Hulu about 4 years ago, and I remember like hearing about it back when I think with A&E or History Channel did like the top 100 horror movies.
Yep.
And they told me, and the one thing that I remember the History Channel or what this show was talking about was a particular scene in the movie. Like
the scene, Doug.
The scene. I'm like, well, I'm never gonna watch it now. That's the only thing. So I watched it, and sure enough, I like it. I think I'm safe to say that this is one of the top two, or I guess I can only say top two because there's In the Mouth of Madness, but one of the better H.P. Lovecraft film adaptions. Absolutely,
and don't get it, and it's very subtle, but this is a H.P. Lovecraft joint. You know what I mean? It pulls on that. What was your experience with this film, Brian?
I had never seen it. So when I sat down and I was like, hey, Re-Animator, 1985, and it started, I was like, oh, God, here we go again. And I was pleasantly surprised. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I want to say out of this first round, this is probably going to be the toughest for me to choose. At this moment right now, I'm not quite sure. It could go either way, but it was a really, really good film.
Is this your dark horse, you think?
No.
For the first round?
I'm not going to call it a dark horse. I didn't have any real expectations either way, but I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. And when I mean enjoyed, it's not necessarily scary, but
it's a roller coaster, man.
Dude, like the dude's bringing human bodies back to life without regard. He's in the name of science.
Violent science stuff.
It's like the theme of this first round has been in the name of science, bad things
will happen.
So
forget all of your thoughts. Science must grow, Doug.
Yes. So yeah, it's a good film.
I remember the first time I saw this movie was in college. And it's one of those things where you had a house party and everybody's there drinking and music and just college life, right? Just going nuts. And we were all sitting on a couch, just out of our minds, right? Just chilling. Music's playing on the background. And it's like 4:00 in the morning. We're all just half asleep. And someone puts on Re-Animator. And literally everyone in the party just woke up and was like, what the F is this, man? Like, why did you put this on? This movie is crazy. And that was my first time experiencing it. And then I went back and watched it again, like in better faculty. And this movie is so visceral and it's so smart because you're almost rooting for the protagonist / antagonist of the film because he's so, he's charmingly evil. I don't know, something about, what's the name of the actor who played the main character? The scientist, rather. He was just so sharp, and he had like a
Is
Sherlock.
that Bruce Abbott?
Right.
Yeah, Bruce Abbott. Yeah.
Bruce Abbott, dude. He had such a sharp, evil wit to him, almost like Sherlock Holmes or something like that, where he was always right, but in the wrong reasons. And
was he in anything else besides Re-Animator in the sequels?
Frighteners. He was the main villain in Frighteners. If you remember Frighteners.
Prophecy 2.
Prophecy 2.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Jeffrey Combs. Is who I'm thinking about. Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
He also played Dr. Benjamin Vanniket in the House on Haunted Hill remake. Jeffrey Combs, yeah. I love that actor. He's such a character actor. But Re-Animator is just so bloody fun. It's just it reminds me of Dead Alive by Peter Jackson, where it's not scary. It's not going to boo haunted house you, but it's something to put on a Halloween night, and it's just going to get your blood pumping, dude. It's just so much fun. So with that, it's about that time where these two films got to fight. Round one fight. So I'm going to mix things up a bit and say winner. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Re-Animator.
Ooh, why?
It's again, it is one of the few H.P. Lovecraft adaptations that are watchable. The only one I can think of next, and I think it is H.P. Lovecraft, or at least inspired by, is In the Mouth of Madness with Sam O'Neill. Yeah. Not Sam O'Neill, Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
Yeah. And it's a movie that is a classic, while being a classic movie in general. I find I just have to go Re-Animator.
Okay. I'll be next, and I'll second your sentiment. It's Re-Animator, man. It's blood, it's guts, it's gore, it's fun, it's reanimated bodies, it's reanimated cats, it's a head giving head. It's just out of control, man.
Okay. All right.
Someone had to say it.
You know what? I was actually going to go with them. I really was, until you said reanimated cats, and I'm like, nope, Re-Animator. No, that reanimated cat scene, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Do you think it's dead now?
No,
sure
but
it's dead now? It's crazy, dude.
It's definitely online with like Pet Sematary. With like cat horror like moments. Dude, I have a cat. I don't want to see it come back alive if for some reason it dies. That's like a no-no.
And the thing about these zombies is they're automatically in pain. Dude. They're just screaming. They wake up from being reanimated and nothing's fun. They just want to break shit and scream, dog. It's out of control. The whole movie is nuts. You have super buff naked dudes wrestling Jeffrey Combs. It's just weird. It's just weird, dude.
No, I have to go Re-Animator.
You have the zombie party at the end where they're all just huddled together. It's just, it's pure insanity. And like Winter said, Them is a horror silver picture classic. But then again, it is also dated as F. And Re-Animator, something I can put on Re-Animator right now and have a good time. You know
I could put on them right now and have a good time. I mean, I don't want to rewatch it, but I have to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Like, I would put it like this. Halloween night, I got a couple of brews. I ordered a pizza. Re-Animator's going to be on at some point of those 24 hours. You know? It's in the rotation. Is Them? Not really, you know?
Well, depends on what you think. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen?
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen?
What do you think?
What do you think? Oh, man. Alongside this episode, we're going to do a poll. You hear that? A poll on our Twitter page, which is @mnerdiverse, where we will ask you, the Nerdiverse, which movie is superior? Is it Them or is it Re-Animator? We can't wait to see how that poll ends up. Tell us if we're right, wrong, and everything in between. I cannot wait for the next episode of MOTN Random Select. And I would love to thank Brian for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you all have an Alice Cooper of an evening.
And I would like to thank Winter, as always, for being right there.
And I hope you have a Alice in Chains evening.
And I've, of course, been your crazy host, Mike G, and I hope you have an Alice in Wonderland rest of the year. With that, I would like to thank you for listening, and I'll always ask you to look towards the skies. Look towards the skis? Question mark?